game.
I appreciate you defending my final call because I think
I'll go to war for you.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
Damn.
Am I making any sense? I don't care. It's not my. It's not what I'm doing. But anyways, the point being, in all honesty, they controlled that game for 95% of it, even if there was that one moment where they could have lost.
And okay, regardless of commanding or not,
yeah.
This is something that CFO need to address because I think this is why we're seeing the pivot specifically to the Sejuani here, where they say, hey, look, this Maokai ult, champion's been out for too long. People understand how this thing works. They just back up, and we have no other follow-up engage past Arel. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Shiauc again on some proactive engage champion, as pretty standard in this meta. I wouldn't mind seeing a hug champion, but I just don't know how likely it is. Paired with Sejuani, it's going to be a lot easier to force fights. That said, doesn't mean conceding kind of the safest blind pick top laner at the moment, which is the Renekton. You mentioned it in the first game. Not a lot of people are super psyched about the Renekton, but we've talked about it a lot behind the scenes, Mark. I mean, it's just a champion who does so much pretty reliably and is almost always useful to some degree.
Yeah, it's like a B tier pick in almost every entire situation. Sometimes A, maybe never S. There's very rare times where it's like, this is such a sick Renekton angle, because everything is technically kind of a Renekton angle. Yeah. You can often find champions who do slot into that angle better than Renekton, but then those champions often have more necessities to play them correctly or get value out of them, or it's higher risk reward. And especially with the current itemization and meta, the Renekton is a very, very powerful pick. And you can see Rest going for the Aatrox again. That worked out well for him. I'm surprised to see the Sejuani takeaway, honestly. I thought the Maokai was fine. I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought their level 3 gank was just over-ambitious, and then they didn't do anything for 25 minutes as BDS stacked dragons and then fought from behind. So that was more like a decision-making problem to me than a comp problem, and I'm surprised to see them go away when the core of the comp was left up. They could have gone Jace again. I thought JimieN's Jace was pretty good. Yeah. It was just, again, the issue of now there's 3 frontline members with a mountain soul.
Once BDS are allowed to push waves in group as 5 and the tanky units can stand in front of the squishy backline, it just gets harder and harder to land meaningful poke. That was the reality of the situation. Perhaps why we're seeing the Kaisa prioritize here over the Jace, wanting to see these compositions develop. With Kaisa taken away, there are no prio 80 carries left. Right now, the prio 80 carries are essentially just Kaisa and Xayah in the eyes of many. So that's why you're seeing Nuke pick up the Azir here, guaranteeing some control in the mid lane. And in general, this is a champion that has just very high guaranteed output later stages of the game, as long as he doesn't get picked off. So BDS, again, some safety, some stability in their draft. Nothing really crazy coming through here yet for either side, to be honest.
Yeah, Nuke honestly saved that game. When we talk about the opportunity for CFO to have won that, it was off Crownie kind of disrespecting the possibility of getting jumped on. He died with, basically flash ult up. And it was Nuke's heroics on this champion that saved that game, as well as bought them the 3rd inhibitor. He was doing a lot of work on this champion, so no surprise to see him go back to it for a second time.
Yeah, and I think that game was a lot of BDS team effort, so oftentimes to point out the greater successes of individual members, but Nuke a man worth highlighting in that regard. See what the focus is for the bottom side. Ezreal banned away. When you already see Aatrox, Sejuani on the opposite side, I'm not a big fan of worry. I don't care about Ezreal, to be honest. I think what we saw is a similar problem to what we saw with Jace, which is just when they're beefy frontliners who just eat Qs all day, what does Ezreal do compared to the power of a champion like Kaisa?
I was chuckling a little bit to myself about whether or not to make the joke of protecting Crownie from Ezreal himself, giving it over.
I mean, to be fair, Kaisa's supposed to be the Ezreal counter, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, it's an interesting thing. Like, that was one of the reasons that we saw Kaisa pop up again in like the LPL, was that she just jumps on top of Ezreal and Ezreal can never do anything.
In NA, we were even seeing Ezreal taken into Kaisa sometimes as well. It did not look fantastic. But I think it seems to be at least agreed upon being one of the, we're seeing some Kalista. We saw one Kalista already. It did not look great necessarily. There was one where it was played well, where they were able to use the Fate's Call to save an aggressive support multiple times. I think we've maybe seen 2 Kalistas thus far. But it is a high-risk, high-reward champion, and you are a lot more early-game oriented now on the side of BDS than they were in the previous game, where you're having what will hopefully be a winning bot lane and an aggressive top side as well.
And I gotta say, I'm an OEC caster. Obviously, I know BDS very well, but I am really loving what CFO are putting together right now, because this team fights. This team fights a lot. In fact, all of this team fights, and it's Kaisa who just gets to dance around on the outside. CFO's comp, very, very, very clear identity. On the opposite side for BDS, we have kind of this baton handover from Kalista early game scaling into Azir late game, which can be very powerful. But I like a composition that does one thing. And it's my favorite when that one thing is push all your buttons and try to kill people.
They looked at the previous game. They said we didn't fight enough. Now everyone goes in. We do one thing, jump in now. I like the Alistar takeaway from the perspective of, hey, now you can't combo that with Kalista, one of the more annoying compositions where you have a flying cow hit you in the head, bump you up in the air twice in a row, turn invulnerable basically, or save him from situations. We are flexing the pools a little bit here out of BDS. I'm liking it.
What?
Into Sylas is a little questionable sometimes. Sylas has a lot of nice ults to steal here.
Sylas has a lot of great, and also builds AP, so Maokai ult actually going to hurt. Okay, whoa, this is great. So, I don't need to explain CFO's composition to you. If you've ever played against any of these champions, you understand what they do. They jump at you, and usually if they're ahead of you, they kill you. And if not, you can maybe outplay them and kill them. But the burden of execution feels oftentimes on the person being dove. Kalista Taric, that's out of left field for me. BDS fans, I think, should be sweating because the track record here to prove that these guys are going to execute well in this lane does not exist this year.
Summer split, no games on Kalista or Taric. This is a composition that you do see. It does function. To be fair, you can pick up the Taric so that his ultimate is guaranteed to go off. It's one of the problems that you have with Taric sometimes is the timing of it, and maybe Taric gets exploded because you're doing it on reaction on getting jumped on, and the Kalista can basically guarantee, assuming the Kalista's not the one dying, that the Taric ultimate goes off. Plus, sometimes it's even honestly better to throw the Taric where the team is rather than where the enemy is to guarantee you get this ultimate off it. It can do some very cool synergistic things. You can also line up your stun if you throw in aggressively so that your E always lands from the knockup from the Fate's Call. There are really cool synergies, but they can be difficult to pull off.
Yeah. Last time we saw this was LEC summer 2020, 3 years ago. Production hopping my ear to give me the fun facts, as much as I'd love to take credit for them. Got a whole team here.
No, you did that. Happen. There's no one else. It's you and me. I'm producing this show. The 50+ people working on it suddenly like me less.
That's so crazy that your mic keeps cutting out and you keep saying weird things on broadcast. That's crazy that they're just going to air all that stuff you said off air.
The Baldur's Gate disapprove. Everyone disliked that.
Everyone disliked that. Shout out to the production team. And here we are. Into what could be the final game of the series. A bold bet coming in from BDS, showing us something new. Slaying and reviving target.
So it's interesting. I think the Taric ultimate, when you're talking about what CFO's comp wants to do, makes a ton of sense. They're going to jump in. You're going to get an invulnerability, hopefully timed out well. You have this peel from the Maokai, peel from the Azir. There's a lot of things that can deal with CFO's composition if you're really on top of it.
Yeah. And if you can... you know, connect on some of those key abilities. And speaking of connecting, connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive experimentation emote, which looks a little bit like the house is on fire.
It's not a good experiment.
It doesn't seem like the experiment is good. His glasses are cracked.
Oh, you're right. Look
which
at you
is
with the detail.
Maybe how we're going to feel about this game, depending on how this Kalista Taric goes.
Oh, they're walking in. Oh, they're walking
up. Level 1 Alistar, that's all of his value. It's been used up. Crownie flashing out to safety. That's such a fantastic start. Crownie running for his life. Double sums down. First blood. That is the worst possible thing that could happen to BDS. CFO. Beautiful level 1.
Oh, it's who gets the kill, too. The fact that it goes on to Shunn. You have Kalista, an early game-oriented champion. You want to get her ahead. You want to play through that lane. Instantly set onto the back foot and comboing that forward onto the blue buff takeaway. Sheo's already reacted going for a split map situation, but this is going to make things even worse because this is going to isolate your lanes to the top side and the bot side. Aatrox is happy to soft lose the couple early levels into the Renekton early on, but generally speaking, if you're playing this matchup well, it is Aatrox favored, solo queue data-wise at least. So this is something where CFO, dream start to this game.
Yeah. In level 2 coming through, and again, this lane, like mini Azir lanes, be about if he can clear and get access to the wave. For now, the answer is no. Thorn Shield and some Vickies coming through for T-break in mid lane, and bottom side, I don't know what this lane does when it's behind.
It has no summoners available for Kalista.
I'm gonna be honest, I have never won lane against a Kalista in my entire life, so I don't know what this champion does when behind.
Nothing. You save other people.
Oh. That's not good.
No. You can, to be fair, get some levels. Maybe you're okay. You'll take another look at this. Love the aggressiveness out of Shiauc. Committing to the flash, the 4-man, everyone coming in at the same time. JimieN laying the follow-up chains. Getting it stacked up enough, forcing the cleanse out. The ignite, just such a good chase down. And the fact that somehow Shunn with everyone else stacked on top, is able to pick up that kill is huge.
It's massive. And it's already representing the philosophy we wanted to see more from CFO, which is just go in.
They have managed to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where level 1 Alistar, obviously, if you instantly one-shot someone, he's a great level 1 champion because you flash, you pull, and that your job is done. If you extend the level 1, he sucks. That's his entire contribution done. So the fact that everyone immediately follows up, zero hesitation, getting the damage down, finding that kill, donating to the perfect person, this is a swimming start for CFO. You can already see almost 1,000 gold in their favor. It doesn't mean a lot because it hasn't been spent yet, and that's something important to keep track of here. This is a potential window of opportunity for Labrov and Crownie to get something done, but of course, who is here to cover? None other than Gemini. Stun sidestepped pretty cleanly. Labrov now going to be in trouble, forced to flash out to safety, and the amount of summoner spells in bot lane is getting lower and lower. The lonely ignite from Labrov, the last one left available.
I was worried about the Hex Flash Headbutt Pulve combo onto Crownie, but was able to stay out of range, so instead they're just getting the flash out of Labrov instead of a follow-up kill, which is a small but important win for BDS in that situation there. But CFO continue to have pressure in the bot lane, and you know, you can still bully maybe after first recall is Adam. Whoa. You can maybe still bully off reset if, you know, Shunn doesn't have a massive item advantage, but you've already wasted a lot of the early potential where you're ideally harassing from level 1, stacking waves, making plays happen repeatedly on the bot side. It's about to see a 3v3 maybe. Warded out.
Sheo, it's already been warded. Stun connecting on the Alistar. Shunn does a bit of chip damage down. Gemini very powerful. Level advantage. Passive still up and available with both sides. Kind of just posturing.
Yeah. They're trying to get this wave in so you can get the reset. JimieN, though, on the far wraparound. He can maybe get into that brush unseen or
just
flash.
the wall.
That's very aggressive.
They're waiting for the setup. Ward's pinged out. Did they spot him going into the jungle?
I think they might have known he's not in mid lane, at least, since Nuke has gotten enough of a shove here. They might have seen him on the roam. No, that ward was just placed. That would have been after the roam had occurred. So they knew that he was out of there, knew that this side of the map was overloaded, and they're still doing their best to get this wave in. And on the flip side for CFO, they're able to get resets off during this time. Gemini has already gotten that first back, grabbed his first item, and it's taking more of Sheo's time to make sure this wave actually can get in. And it's still taking a lot of work, and now Gemini is once again showing up in bot lane.
Yeah. And production coming in hot. Let us know they did spot the Sylas, so they had perfect information in that context, or at least partially perfect information. They knew that he was in the jungle, so good ward placement, good diligence from BDS to respect the potential play there. Level 6 coming through for Nuke. Gemini there to Shadow, potentially just to make sure that JimieN can get his level 6, or at least clear the wave and force it in. And after that initial explosive moment, the game has been relatively quiet. That said, while Sejuani is getting camps and shadowing her lanes, Sheo has just been shadowing the lanes, has not gotten many camps whatsoever.
No, and also that gold difference in the bot side has not gotten any better. The CS advantage going heavily in Shunn's favor this time around. He was, as the analyst was highlighting in the pre-show, one of the best performing members, if not the best performing AD carry currently in play-ins, and this is exactly the guy you want with the gold in your pocket, as well as the fact BDS's comp does have tools to deal with CFOs, but it's not like you have a scaling advantage. There's no benefit from falling behind and surviving until mid to late game. Kalista will, of course, start to drop off. Generally speaking, Aatrox will outperform a Renekton in the mid to late game, and we saw Rest had a very good performance, honestly, on that Aatrox. So BDS will need to find some ways to make some things happen, I think, to make sure this game doesn't just kind of stall out with a 1 to 2K advantage that slowly grows for CFO.
Certainly, and I think if something's going to be the exception to that rule, it will be the Azir coming in from Nuke, which is a lot of pressure to put on an individual player, but Nuke is a guy who, while he's not always the center of the show, we saw him last game on this Azir, he did make his presence known. He kind of saved the game for BDS because of that hiccup in the mid lane, that big mistake, and has had a couple games, at least in the LEC, one on Jace, a couple on Cassio, where he's really popped off, really almost single-handedly carried those games. Maybe he can look to replicate that here. For now, there's a stolen Maokai ultimate in the hands of Sylas.
Yeah, they heard that dragon go down, and I think Sheo was worried about a potential bot dive follow-up, so he has to cross-map through mid lane, through vision, making sure that they can actually contest some of these jungle camps.
Rob landing the stun. Sheo in the area.
Yeah, able to force him out of the jungle there, get the second blue buff spawn for Sheo, and see if he hands it over to Nuke, because like you said, it does feel like a lot of the eggs are in the Nuke basket at this point in time. Adam quietly has done a good job getting a CS lead for himself. Renekton does quite well in the early phases sometimes.
Yeah. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, though. Rest is currently an item advantage, but Adam making good use of the Fury, trying to backstep, but does get hit by not the sweet spot on the Q2. Did look like he got hit by it, but didn't get knocked up.
Yeah, able to trade ultimates there, but at the end of the day, perfectly happy for both of them to just keep farming up. And Adam has kind of been on what you would call somewhat the strong side in the early levels as he, whoop,
forced to flash away. As the Q3 came through, and Rest certainly could have flash chased if that did connect on its own. Red, blow a bowl.
Oh, okay.
Hits the Q2, he's gonna hit the Q3. Oh, that's it! For those who don't know, if you hit Q2 once they're already chained, you guarantee the Q3.
Rest landing the skills, missed the Q1, but still had enough damage to make it happen. Finds the solo bolo. We were trying to hype up Adam a little bit as maybe being a strong side of the map. Immediate cast your curse into a 2-0 lead for CFO.
Yeah. Just like it's all on MarkZ for producing the show, it's also all his fault as Crownie now trying to make it out to safety, throwing his support back into the mix, running for his life. The ulti going wide, but he's slowed. Just barely able to escape Labrov. They do make it out. CFO burns so many resources, but BDS walk away with their lives, burning everything in return.
That is a highway robbery to get out of there. Crownie living somehow is now Gemini, maybe a little bit too far forward.
Gemini, Q back, spear over the wall. Crownie going in for the kill. This is madness. Shiauc coming in too. Crownie not quite able to finish the job. Ignite now taking down. Labrov held that one for so damn long. They need to take out Shiauc, but the ult coming in just in time. The stun connecting. Nuke going for the pushback. JimieN on the backside. Nuke knows he can only go forward, flashing out to safety. It's pretty damn clean. Shunn out of mana. Ulti coming in, just a bit of poke. No further committal from BDS, a bloody mess of an exchange.
Taking what should have been a free kill onto Crownie and turning that into a 2-for-1 for BDS. What I thought was already a robbery is even more now that they could somehow come out net positive in that play as we initially see this solo kill.
And I gotta say, the
second E forward was an interesting choice.
Was bold. Okay, but this is the thing that I love from Rest. Absolute confidence here to go for that. Because if you whiff the Infernal Chains, you look like an idiot.
He was close. Q went right wide. Here's this play, though, where they immediately get on top of him. This looks fantastic. The flash out. This, though, the interrupt by Labrov jumping in the way. Shunn has to flash in front of Labrov to try and land the W afterwards. Gemini also misses ultimate. And then there's nothing left. They're able to skate out. And because Nuke has pressure on the mid lane, when Gemini starts trying to move up to the river to contest that Scuttle Crab, it looked like the rest of the team can hop over the wall, find this kill. I like the decision to go in there by Gemini and just finish Crownie off and try and keep skirmishing, but man.
But it's also such a close fight. Shiauc hits level 6 because Crownie dies. That could have been so much worse for CFO.
Yeah, same with Sheo grabbing his ult, I think, at the tail end of that fight as well, then being able to send that over to protect the rest of the team. They got a lot of flashes out, too. Shunn burned his flash earlier. JimieN burned his flash trying to get on top of Nuke, who was able to flash out safely. There's basically no flashes in the game after that.
Rest going in. Already burned the Umbral dash, so Adam just going to be forced back. Lane does not get easier for Renekton.
Nope, does not. He did hold on to his ultimate there while Rest burned his, so should be relatively safe unless Gemini can land a nice CC combo here, but there's enough vision from BDS on this side of the map to not be surprised of anything coming in, and you have Sheo now hovering as a result.
Yeah, Aatrox still a champion who needs a couple Qs to connect to kill you too. It's not, he doesn't one-shot you. It's not a blink of an eye that you disappear. You're gonna have a lot of time, again, short of that CC combo to pop your ult to try to dash to safety. Crownie on the bottom side, getting closer to what I assume will be an early Blade of the Rune King, as is pretty standard for Kalista, especially with a lot of beefy frontliners on the opposite side, but he is trailing behind Kaisa pretty dramatically. Taric obviously giving you a decent amount of armor, so I think that's probably why we're seeing Shunn not go towards the lethality build. Maybe in some contexts would make sense when you have a lead like this, but a lot of beefy frontliners on the opposite side as well.
Yeah, a little surprised actually now that you pointed out to not see him going that way with the dive focus of the entire composition. You think just instantly blow somebody up, most likely Nuke if you can get on top of him and try and fight from there. And the enemy team does have a lot of beefcakes, but at the same time, you're probably not going to stack too much armor on a Renekton, and the Maokai is a low econ jungler. You're not able to get quite as many armor stacking. And either way, though, still going to be able to pump out a lot of damage, I suppose. And this is one of those awkward games again where CFO is in what feels like a commanding lead, but they have not been able to convert much of that since the very nice opening and the solo kill. The gold lead has largely stayed the same, hovering around 1,000. They did pick up one dragon, but they have not blown open the bot side. But again, they don't really need to from our expectations of how these comps are going to interact.
Yeah. Rest just walking menacingly at Adam. Umbral dash into the Q2. Q3 won't connect. Adam walks away slowly.
Drake stacking commences on the bot side of the map. Still far behind, still 20 CS deficit, still jungle advantage as well to Gemini, and CS grabbing the second one also has the mythic advantage across the board, so there's no way BDS would ever want to take that fight. Looking more like a third or fourth dragon that they will have to contest at this point.
Yeah.
And
It's a tricky one, Mark. You know, I'm not really sure what BDS can do here, because Crownie, while against a lot of these more bruisery-style champions, Kalista's notorious for just being able to survive forever in a fight. The Alistar really limits that, especially a phase rush Alistar who can just QW in, ulti, hit you once, zoom in and out, stay on top of you, make sure that you connect with that stun. It's going to be tricky to navigate. A lot of pressure on Labrov now to find that great Taric ultimate, as there's a bit of a contest here around the blue buff. Smite will go over to Gemini.
Yep, a little early, it looked like from Sheo there maybe. And like you said, there are tools for BDS comp where if they go in, you get the Taric ultimate off because it wasn't super clean. Kalista builds a bunch of stacks up because she's invulnerable and hopefully free hitting during that time. Nuke shuffles people away, you rip them out. Of course, and it's still, again, now only a 2,000 gold advantage, but the problem is it's going to keep creeping up because you honestly can't fight until you have your items, and they are behind CFO and getting there, and the lead just grows and grows and grows. And by the time you have your items to fight, suddenly it's 3 dragons and a 4K gold advantage if CFO continues to snowball.
Yeah. JimieN walking forward, isolating. Sheo now needs to make it out safety, but again, the layering of the CC here, flawless from CFO to find that pick. Take a look at the match card lane economy snapshot. Lane's looking good for CFO is the story here, and that snapshot didn't take into account that kill, so I imagine even mid lane now in the favor of CFO.
That would be a 300 gold swing. Unfortunately, he did not pick it up, so getting the assist instead. Nice aggressiveness. I like seeing JimieN just flash in there, even though Sheo had flash, and I assume they had that timer. There's so much CC follow-up that as long as you lock him down to start that off with. I think he got that. Did he get it? I couldn't tell. I didn't see a Trito go over, but maybe he didn't have any treats. It's usually the easiest way to tell. Yeah. Just like, did he heal for a bunch?
Adam, World Ender coming through. If he can get out without burning his zone ability, pullback does connect. So, an ultimate advantage here. Doesn't need to reset. Hopefully he can pick up the Gore Drinker, or this lane is going to be very difficult.
It's one of those, it feels like it's what the top lane is going to be now, is Rest generally getting good trades and chasing him down, and Adam trying to survive. And at some point, hopefully in team fights, killing Shunn or something. Because otherwise, yeah, the side lane will largely be in Rest's favor. That's what we're talking about, where the matchup, assuming you're playing it correctly and you're able to land some of your W Infernal Chains and your Darkened Blades, there's not much Renekton can do.
Yeah, it's an interesting balancing act. Actually, I love Aatrox as a champion just from watching people lane as and against him. There's this like beautiful dance of spacing where like you want to be on top from Q2 and Q3, or sorry, Q1 and Q2, and then you want to be as far away from him from Q3, and like watching that back and forth is always pretty fun. That said, not as fun when the Aatrox is sitting pretty on a Gore Drinker, while Renekton only has bits and pieces.
Yeah, and your entire rest of your map is falling behind.
Yeah.
I'm playing Renekton. What am I doing here?
Sure. And this is one of those moments we talked about. Renekton does everything pretty solid, but you know, he just doesn't. There's not a niche. We're not waiting for a sudden window of opportunity where Adam is suddenly the strongest champion.
Yeah, don't worry. Once third item comes online, he's going to do this, and that.
Great. Like, he's always going to be a threat.
Whoa.
Crownie locked up. Chain CC again coming through, forcing out the cleanse. Crownie now just going to keep walking forward, knowing that he's not under a lot of threat. Shiauc still coming, though. He has to be careful. Adam going in. He might just be able to one-shot, gets him down before he can use the dominant. Shiauc now needs to run. Zooming out to safety. Crownie desperate for more, but nice bit of a play there. It does mean Rest is going to get a lot of time unattended on the top side. There are no plates left, but could just look to burn down that tower.
Still like the aggressive teleport out of Adam. Quick reaction time to that so they can save Crownie and also get that punish kill onto JimieN, who threw those chains out, started running away, ended up really close to the Kalista. And with that time, though, they do get a kill on the, turret on the top side, and they'll grab the Rift Herald as well. It is at least getting some gold back into BDS, because otherwise, how else will you be able to trade turrets if you're just losing in most of your lanes or down pressure at the very least?
Ooh. Drags JimieN now. Ooh, not quite going to connect there. Would have been able to take the 1v1 you assume with the dominance advantage.
Did save the turret with that teleport, so while I'm sure BDS will grab that shortly, it is sometimes a little frustrating. You just need that like 100 gold.
Well, and like you look at the objectives coming up, it's 33 seconds to the dragon. If that staggers a recall timer, if that frees up CFO to push in this mid lane, then it's absolutely worth the expenditure. Chassis is oh, nuke. Isolated. Why would you dash back? Trying to bait him in. Rest now just going to blast cone out to safety. The stun not quite going to catch him in midair. That was almost very suspect, but everyone manages to make it out safe. Ultimately, Rest forced to flash.
Having some happy game a little bit right now with Shiauc going over the wall before the Rift Herald was in range, taking a ton of damage, and then Rest having a really nice trade onto Nuke. And then Nuke kind of, like you said, baiting him in, and the rest of the team able to collapse, getting the flash out of Rest, limiting his playmaking as we head towards this third dragon, and BDS getting the inside track on it because, again, Shiauc had to go back to base and heal up.
Excellent window of opportunity to try to capitalize on here. Crownie opting for the Blade, the Rune King opting for the Rage Blade as well, so more spears going to be in that dragon, that much easier to secure it. There should be no way for CFO to win the 50-50 with Crownie having that many spears and eyes on the prize. They immediately going to ult. Now the follow-up just has to stop in its tracks. Shiauc's there, but there's no effective damage output. Solid fight for BDS thus far. Do they want to commit or back away with what they got? Crownie just continuing to step forward, knowing he's under no threat. Shiauc over-committing into the Taric, and now Adam is instantly looking to follow up. BDS finding the angle, too, into the back pocket of Crownie.
Despite the horrendous start that they were forced on from that level 1, and then the Gemini in back pocket of bot lane almost the entire game, Crownie is finding ways to contribute. Labrov, the nice ultimate, pulling off the combination that we were saying was how you can win these fights, getting the Taric ultimate off, Shiauc going in right then and being able to just stack up spears in him. Once the Alistar ult drops off, you blow him up, and saving grace for CFO in this situation was they did continue their dragon stacking. I like the setup here out of CFO, kind of threatening from multiple angles. They get this away. That's great because Sheo was, kind of more worried about dying than getting the smite right there. But then once the Taric ultimate drops, Shiauc going in just gives them a target to focus down, and the rest of CFO was split and looking like they were happy to just back off from there. And then Rest stuck around just slightly too long. He ends up dropping as well with the rest of BDS hopping the wall and maybe beginning to find their angle into this game.
Yeah. And I think for CFO, we're noticing a concerning trend of these like spectator objectives where they show up and they're kind of just hoping that BDS fumble the bag and that they can jump in and steal something away. Shiauc overcommitting. Saw it in game 1 as well, and I think it's either go and contest and fight or don't, but this spending so much time just to lose members in the exchange and power that Taric ultimate, very apparent in the previous fight. With no immediate follow-up, with no immediate burst damage coming through, it's so easy to just wait out that channel time and leverage it to its fullest.
Yeah, really nice stuff out of BDS. Still 2,500 gold behind. Still, the Dragon went over to CFO, so there's huge pressure on this next one to make sure that they don't get it. But at the end of the day, they did get some more gold into their back pocket.
Yeah, and completely wrong there, because I missed the steal, so thank you for calling it out, Mark, because that shouldn't happen against a Kalista, and CFO do make it happen. So actually, the grand scheme of things, probably worth that much closer to Ocean Soul. Incredibly impactful against a lot of these champions. Certainly against the poke of a demonic Maokai.
We're able to stay healthy if they are walking into saplings. Always feels nice to kind of negate one of the strongest parts of Maokai's kit. Still will have vision control. We'll still have to walk into them, but even with demonic red smite, will not be quite as much damage as you're absorbing through the healing of the ocean. Now we see Nuke in a bit of trouble. Gets the turret up, at least, to protect his back off there.
They remember from game 1. You don't fight the Emperor in his little mini kingdom here on the bottom side. As brief as it will be.
Setting up, clearing out some vision. My question is from here, how does CFO win this game? Because we saw them in a losing position in the previous game, able to, with their backs against the wall, find that aggressive angle. Now, in the driver's seat of the game, how do they want to pilot it? That last objective, I will chalk up to a series of unfortunate events. They lemony snicketed their way into that where Shiauc gets chunked out by flashing the wall too early, then Rest loses his flash, and then they're late to the dragon, and then they're trying to contest it.
Because they get the steal, though, it's kind of like even though it's questionable, ultimately it's like all's well that ends well, which isn't a great way to look at League of Legends from a competitive standpoint, but sometimes you take the dubs you can get.
Yeah, but projecting forward, if you keep doing that, eventually you probably should not win that game.
If we keep doing it, we get Ocean Soul on the next one.
Fair enough.
You know?
That is
keep flipping it. If you keep winning the flip, there's nothing wrong with flipping, right? That's gambling in a nutshell.
I'm not gonna do the copy pasta.
You're not gonna do the gambler's fallacy thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just one more away. No, here I will say you can see that Goldie kind of plateauing, unfortunately, for CFO. You want to have a little bit more control, and those kills did matter. It did get Crownie to a spot where he feels pretty relevant, even items at least, with Shunn here. And so while Kaisa will outscale the Kalista, at least at this portion of the game, you are very, very relevant if you're able to stack up spears. And I like BDS kind of putting their foot on the gas here and saying, we don't want to just keep even farming and go into the next dragon.
Yeah. BDS. CFO have the gold lead, but it's BDS dictating the pace of the game right now. CFO forced to play it to their tune. Now looking to test. 6K getting lower. Again, it should be impossible to steal his objective. Stun locking up JimieN forcing out the early stopwatch, looking to burn him down. He's now pushing back. He's now trying to make it out to safety. Taric ult now coming down. Can they take the objective? Again, there should be no way it's being stolen. It's sloppy on the finish, but it does not matter as they look to find the fight. Shunn on the backside, not able to finish off. Nuke still standing. Hits with a Fnatic logo. Gemini flashes in with the smite to finish the job. But at the end of the day, BDS get the Baron, and Adam might have struggled against the Aatrox, but he is absolutely smashing this Kaisa, taking his time. Shunn running for his life, but it does matter? Does it matter? Oh my God. He gets lost in the sauce. The disrespect more important than just finishing the job.
Pushing the recall button, trying to flex on him a little bit, ends up going down, but still, BDS absolutely love that call. Use your kits to the maximum, stack those spears up, force them into you. I think the decision to split the fight as well, to force JimieN off to the left side of the fight so you're not just all corralled in the pit, was absolutely massive here. And the focus by Crownie, making sure that he gets all the spears in here. JimieN just slightly ahead of the play, Nuke and Adam comboing together to kill him, while Rest is the only one in the fight. And because Labrov can get this ultimate off, you pull him on top of you, guaranteed get that, and then they can finish the objective off, refocus down to the front line. Shunn goes flying in, but it's too little too late now, and BDS might have just punched their tickets potentially to the advancement match tomorrow against the PCS #1 seed if they can make the most of this Baron buff.
And that's the thing, talking about the backbreaker plays today. This wasn't it, this was just kind of funny. He's just taking the time. I mean,
Kaisa's a fun champion, and you probably, you know,
oh, whoops. I don't know what to do. Fine.
Whatever. I mean, they stopped the dragon stacking.
Yeah.
They get their Baron. They have the control now. You know, this is a huge win for BDS here, and at least showing that they are doing a very good job of understanding their composition. When they lock this in, we're highlighting the fact that we haven't really seen this out of BDS, this exact combination of champions, and there's always concern with this kind of thing if you're able to actually execute on it. And despite the horrendous start, BDS is showing they know how to do this.
And you look at the teamfight damage, you can see that Crownie is making his mark on this pick. I think excellent recognition of a lot of these short-range champions on the opposite side. Kalista champion who's great in these extended fights when she can dance around a lot of these more melee champions. And while it's something we haven't seen from Crownie this year, you know, still making it work, making it count, because it made sense in the draft. And I imagine they've been preparing it, paired with the Taric ultimate. It's looking like BDS, seemingly out of nowhere, have taken total control of this game.
Yeah, it was heavily favored for the vast majority of the game, basically since level 1 towards CFO, but that Baron flip coming up huge for him.
And again, in a perfect world, not a flip. They did leave it at 1,000 health. They did not count 1, 2, 3 on the smites. It got a little hectic here. Focus now on Labrov. They've stolen away a Maokai ultimate. Maokai ultimate just traded. Kitty cats going back and forth on both sides. Taric ultimate now coming in. Shiauc is once again overcommitted to the Taric ultimate. Will not get stunned at this time around, trying to pop back, but Adam immediately just stepping forward to the backline. So much damage coming out from the Call of the Meek. Shiauc dead as well. CFO trying to dig themselves out of the hole and only end up digging deeper in the favor of BDS. JimieN's forced to retreat, and BDS barreling down the top side.
Baron has timed out, but it's still a 5v3. We want to see how aggressive BDS wants to be here. Is it inhibitor back, or are you going to try and push forward? 30 seconds on Rest, 15 on Shiauc. They're considering it.
I think you got to go for the throw here. Crownie locked up for a moment, but they just don't have the follow-up damage. Too much wave clear from the side of CFO. They opt to just get out rather than risk diving the Nexus towers.
I gotta tell you, Labrov's Taric has been impressing me here yet again. When you're playing against Taric, what you want to do is threaten enough of an engage that he has to pop his ultimate. You back off from that position, and then you re-engage. But Labrov is just so confident that he doesn't need to ult quite yet, and he holds it until the next Maokai ultimate comes in the second engage, and that's when he pops his ultimate, and that's when the turn comes through. Absolutely love the restraint on the Taric play there, and then Adam shows up, then they can chase forward and win this fight.
Yeah. I gotta say, I was skeptical about the Kalista Taric, even more so after that first blood kill, but credit to BDS. Making this combination for both champions, you know, kind of utilizing it to the fullest, making it look good.
And really heads up drafting and throws an extra wrinkle into what I think a lot of people expected out of BDS, where it's mostly kite back compositions, scaling, and it's just, is Adam going to do something weird? Here you see that the rest of the team can have unique pocket picks, these things that will answer compositions. When CFO goes full dive, full send, full commit to blowing up targets, and you flex in the Kalista and the Taric, and you're able to counter the enemy composition, it makes you have to pay way more attention in the draft into what you're actually playing into.
Certainly. And I think you're in this awkward point now where you have a lot of these champions who are bruisers who just don't have the burst damage. As we see there, the instant engage comes out, but it's a slow team fight. BDS taking their time, flash back from Crownie. Fate's Call coming out, thrown in the midst of the team. The shield coming in again. There's no angle here for CFO. They're moving in to just get slaughtered. Crownie again, still standing. But they don't have the money. They don't have the comp. They have nothing left. That fight was not good, and BDS punished them for trying to take it.
A 5-for-0 clean ace out of BDS. They destroy CFO. The minions are showing up now to help them end this game. That should be it.
BDS barrel down the mid lane. They were in control in game 1. They lost it a bit here in game 2, just as they did in game 1. But at the end of the day, when it comes time to show up, BDS show up. They will move on to the best of 5. They will move on to the enemy fountain for some reason. They will take their time, but they will take the win as well. BDS one best of 5 away from securing the Swiss stage.
The importance of the losers bracket coming up big today. Both GAM and BDS dropped down on day 1, making some mistakes, some uncharacteristic play out of them, and recovering in the losers bracket, looking way better, even today than yesterday for BDS. A level of aggression that we weren't seeing out of them, not just scaling into it, but looking for their moments, looking for their opportunities, and pulling the trigger when they see them.
Yeah. And that game right there, way more confidence inspiring for BDS fans than game 1.
Yeah.
Game 1, slow, steady. Again, 1 or 2 fumbles, almost cost you the game, but didn't because you were in control and you had a big enough lead that it wasn't the end of the world. That game, starting behind, bringing it back. Top lane not massively ahead. In fact, starting to get further and further behind when it comes to Adam, even if he was finding these good little gold advantages, but showing up way better